Sparta County Board of County Commissioners meeting at 10 a.m. on April 10th, 2024. At this time, please silence all electronic devices and mute your microphones. Please rise with me for the invocation and pledge of allegiance.
O merciful Creator, your hand is open wide to satisfy the needs of every living creature. Make us thankful for your loving providence and grant that we, remembering the account that we must one day give, may be faithful stewards of your good gifts. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
District 2, Commissioner Waitman.
Present.
District 3, Commissioner Starkey. Here. District 4, Commissioner Bradford. District 5, Commissioner Mariano.
Here.
District 1, Chairman Oakley.
Here. Thank you. Recognize we have a quorum here today. Now is the time for public comment. Citizens are given an opportunity to comment on any current or future item on the agenda under the board's purview. Today's public comment will be handled as follows. First, we will take public comment from those persons here in person. Then we will take public comment from those on pre-registered on the WebEx link and are currently on queue. We request that when you address the board, comments are to be made not personally toward any commissioner or team member, but rather directed at the issues. This provides mutual support for both between the board and the public. After stating your name and address for the clerk, a 3-minute timer will be activated. After 2 minutes, a single beep will indicate you have 1 minute left. When your time is up, 2 beeps will sound and you will need to finish your comments at that time. WebEx applicants will be disconnected electronically when their time is up. Madam Clerk, do we have people signed up for the public comment session?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I have 4 people signed up. I was also told there's probably others that did not sign up that they would also like to talk. Okay. So we'll go through the list first.
All right.
We have Brenda Scarborough, followed by Nancy Hazelwood, followed by Merle Fermani. Ms. Scarborough?
And when you get to the podium, please state your name and your address.
Move to receive and file.
Second.
And a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Hi, my name is
Motion
Brenda
passed.
Scarborough, 17826 Palomino Lake Drive, Dade City.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'll have to read right off the paper. Good morning, Commissioners. I don't know what the final Lakuchi plan will look like, but I am concerned about the residential transitional neighborhoods that seem to be proposed. This would disagree with the Northeast Rural Protected Overlay from LBC and make this area transitional. Doing this changes the ratio from 1 house on 5 acres, which is the current rural Northeast protected area, to 1 house per acre. This is a very slippery slope, especially if they begin to cluster homes, which would require sewer systems, which completely goes against the rural system. It would become denser and suburban and no longer rural. The Northeast Rural Plan was created so that we had a protected area, and that destroys that. You have all repeatedly been saying that we need to protect the rural character, but this obviously does not do that. I would ask you all to take into consideration when finalizing the Lakuchi plan, all those constituent landowners like myself who purchased 5 acres of land in the protected area because your team created the overlays of those homeowners who wanted to live rurally. This is what we call rural, guys. I understand this is what it will turn into, which is with cluster homes. Thank you for allowing me to be heard, and not just myself, but for so many others who have had the same concern. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nancy Hazelwood, followed by Merle Fermani, followed by Cynthia. Elia?
Good morning, Commissioners. Nancy Hazelwood, 34110, a nice place. You didn't have to tell me this time, sir. Good morning again. The person that spoke before me echoes many of our feelings out there. I would say about 95% of us out in the Northeast rural area moved there because it is a protected area and we wanted to live rurally. Once you had somebody here that developed a plan that said there's something for everybody in Pasco. If you want to live rurally, you've got that. If you want to live in a city, you have that, or anything in between. We had something for everyone. I'm hoping you will sustain the rural area plan for all of us. Also, I wanted to thank you for having a workshop on stormwater. It's nice to be able to help with county planning for the areas we live. We'd like to see a lot more of that. And a thank you for the board and staff. Another thanks to Planning and Growth and Parks and Recreation Department for trying to do the right thing. We know that they have very large workloads and really need more employees, and I'd encourage you to get those. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Merle Fermani? Cynthia Elia?
Move to receive and file.
There's one for everybody.
I got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Hello, my name is Meryl Fermani. I'm at 8810 Quail Run Drive, Wesley Chapel, Florida. I'm speaking on item P57 from the afternoon schedule. I made a presentation that I sent.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
it's not appropriate to take comments on a public hearing in public comment in the morning. Those are quasi-judicial hearings.
I can't speak during public comment on a, okay.
Not if you're addressing the land use matter that is on the hearing.
Okay.
Is scheduled for hearing.
But there's no public hearing for it in the afternoon, so the only other option was the morning?
Yep. If it's one of the P items.
If the public hearing has been closed, then it's not appropriate for public comment at all. The public hearing has been closed.
I see, okay. So,
What do we do with this? So should we,
It should not be part of the record.
okay, all right. Is there any way that I can submit more material to be part of the record?
No,
I'm not trying to be disrespectful, I'm just asking clarification, sir.
So my understanding is that P57 the public hearing was closed. You didn't have sufficient, it was deadlocked at 2-2. It was continued to today, hoping that that Commissioner Bradford could review the record and participate in the vote. My understanding is Commissioner Bradford is not going to be attending, so it's going to be continued again. It's also been brought to my attention that there were ex parte communications by both the applicant and the public with board after the public hearing was closed.
That's correct.
Which, in my opinion, you're going to have to reopen the public hearing for that matter, because you took public comment in private, basically.
I had an attorney with me. You didn't say that.
I had a conversation with me too.
Yeah.
Does that mean it's open for June, sir?
I didn't.
Or does that mean it's up for discussion about June?
My recommendation to the board would be that that the public hearing would be reopened and a new public hearing be held at that time, based on the events that have occurred.
Okay, well, thank you for clarifying and thank you for your time.
Thank
But
you.
it's continued for today. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Well, that's my understanding, is that the applicant has agreed to a continuance.
Okay.
So you let them know they're not wasting their time.
it's not continued until you continue it this afternoon, but my understanding is both the applicant and staff are in agreement that it will be continued till, I believe it's June 4th. Hold on. I believe it's your first meeting in June, which should be the June 4th meeting.
Which would be here.
Back in Dade City, yes.
Yeah.
So it would be on your afternoon calendar, with a 1:30 calendar on, computer will come up, June 4th in Dade City.
Okay.
I have a question for
Okay.
County Attorney. There was the motion to receive and file. Is that to be removed?
I would reconsider it, and I would not make it part of, well, it can be part of the morning record. It's not going to transfer into the public hearing
Okay,
record.
thank you.
So we need to have a motion. Well, we've already accepted it.
Right. It can be
You
part of,
just
it can be
continue
part of
to
the,
this
it can be
afternoon.
part of your, the record for the proceedings of public comment. It's just not going to be part of the, unless it's reintroduced when the public hearing is reopened, it's not going to be part of that record.
Right.
Okay. Our next person.
Okay, we have Cynthia Elia.
Name and address for the record.
Yep.
Just your name and address.
Cynthia, LEA. The address is 8810 Quail Run Drive, Wesley Chapel.
Thank you.
This is the same subject.
No, it's administrative.
Okay.
I would like to point out that the different deadlines that have been made, aware of us trying to get in literature, emails, requests, they've not been included in the agenda. A number of our emails, a number of our letters that we've sent in have either been past deadlines that we have not been made aware of, or they're in-house deadlines for you people and we don't know about. The zoning administrator has not included a number of our letters. So I would just like you to be made aware of that sometimes even audiovisual presentations we're not able to present because we have missed a deadline that we're not even aware of. So it's more administrative. I'm not talking about any topic, but you need to be made aware that you're not hearing from your constituents. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, that's all that I had
That's all you have
physically
signed up.
signed in. Yep.
Is anyone else here to speak to public comment this morning? If you are, come to the podium. Seeing no one coming forward.
Okay.
Anybody on WebEx?
No one's on WebEx.
No one on WebEx? So at this time, we'll close public comment for this morning and move on to, let's see here. WebEx, pre-register. Public comment period is closed. Now it's time for resolutions. Please read the first resolution, Madam Clerk.
Okay. If you are here for the 135th anniversary of the Benedictine Sisters of Florida, please step to the podium.
I see them here on the front row.
You can come to the podium.
You
and
can all come up behind Sister Roberta.
I'll go ahead and read the resolution first. Okay, resolution number 24-091, a resolution by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, recognizing the 135th anniversary of the Benedictine Sisters of Florida. Whereas the Benedictine Sisters of Florida were founded in 1889, where Mother Dolorosa Scanlon, Sister Josephine Fedung, Sister Agatha Geisler, Sister Boniface Feldman, and Sister Agnes Behe came from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania to East Pasco, and whereas the Benedictine sisters created a legacy staffing St. Anthony and St. Joseph schools and opened Holy Name Academy, a boarding school for girls from 1920 to 1959. The Benedictine sisters operated St. Benedict's prep school for boys until they closed to focus on providing services for St. Leo University. And whereas in 1970, the Benedictine sisters broadened their educational legacy with the opening of the Montessori school. They served as teachers and school principals in public, private, and parochial schools throughout the state of Florida, Texas, and Louisiana. And whereas the Benedictine sisters have a solemn responsibility to pray daily for individuals and the world by using special intentions. They strive to be a resource for those in need, provide spiritual guidance, share their monastery home for those who seek peace from a stressful world, and help the elderly, hungry, children, those with special needs, and the abused. And whereas the Benedictine sisters at Holy Name Monastery serve as guardians of tradition, living and preserving the monastic way of life, generously opening their lives to others in hospitality. And whereas the Benedictine sisters of Florida have a history of serving on many boards, Pasco County boards, as St. Leo town mayors and commissioners, parish ministries, locally and Catholic schools throughout Florida, and volunteer at organizations such as Habitat for Humanity, Sunrise Domestic Violence Shelter, and the Florida Elderly Childhood Coalition. And whereas the Benedictine sisters' historic achievements have enriched the communities of Pasco County, and whereas the Benedictine sisters at Holy Name Monastery continue to extend a welcoming hand, kind heart, and listening ear to those seeking to live their lives in harmony with others. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, that said board hereby recognizes the 135th anniversary of the Benedictine Sisters of Florida, done and resolved in regular session with a quorum present and voting this 10th day of April 2024.
A motion?
Move approval.
Second.
All right, a motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Sister Roberta,
Thank you.
welcome.
You know where we live, I hope.
I certainly do.
It's a well-kept secret in Pasco County, though. Pasco County was very small when our sisters first came. I think it had been an independent county for 2 years, maybe, when we came in 1889. I say we, it's the generic, all-encompassing we. We were not all here. Some of us have been here, though, almost half of that history. So if you divide 135, and you get the number that's a little around what my age is. So I appreciate that summary of our existence here in Pasco County. We came to educate the children who were being taught on the pastor's back porch. And immediately, the very next day, opened 3 different schools. St. Joseph, Holy Name Academy, and took over the administration of St. Anthony's School. And many of you, I'm sure, know people or yourself have been in touch with people at some of those schools. I have some business cards here, if you allow me to give them to the clerk here, for anyone who is interested in having one of them. Right now, we are 10 at Holy Name Monastery. We do offer hospitality, as was mentioned. So if you have an overflow of guests, give us a call. The number's on the business card there. And we can house you, we can feed you, whatever it takes. We started out in a wood frame building. Some of you may know the history. It was a wood frame hotel for Catholics only. There weren't too many Catholic tourists in the 1880s. So they gave the building to the sisters who lived there until 1911, when we got the property up on Lake Jovita. It was moved on logs drawn by oxen up to the edges of the lake. Now today, if that happened, you'd have the TV cameras out and everything else, moving a wood frame building. We lived in that until 1959, when it was condemned by the fire department. The bishop did not immediately give us permission to rebuild, So Sister DeShanto went for the third time, sat down in the bishop's secretary's office and said, "I'm not going home until he says yes." And then she began to cry. When the bishop left his office, he said to the secretary, not to the sister, "Tell that nun I said yes." So we built the building that is now Benedictine Hall. The chapel there is a black box theater. The first performance in the black box theater was Nuns on the Move, and it was written by the students of St. Leo and produced by them about the sisters coming from Pennsylvania. And the rest has really just been history. We've opened schools, we've closed schools, but to our credit, I believe, we've been able to successfully pass on any of the ministries we've been involved in have successfully succeeded even after we left. So the Benedictine charism carries on here in Pasco County. And we appreciate your calling attention to our 135th anniversary. We're very grateful for that. We feel welcome in Pasco County on both sides of the county. So thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, thank you, and you've been a part of my life, my entire life, since I'm not 135, but I'm getting closer. But hopefully, I'll get there. But 78 years of my life, you've sisters and your schools and all of the St. Leo, the prep school, just on and on has been a part of my life. And y'all have upheld a great part of the community in District 1 for all this time.
Yes.
And I guarantee you, it doesn't stop here, it keeps going. So, but we certainly appreciate all that you do in our community, and I can't be more grateful for all that you've done in my community to help things be better.
We appreciate that.
And you gathered a lot of Catholics in the community.
Well,
If
in
you
the
go calling
beginning-
out names, you almost have to be like you're in Kentucky and have to have blood work done to see if people get married out there. I mean, there's so many Nathys, Barthels, Sharbers, and it just keeps on and on. But there's large families, Catholic families, that have come here because of the work y'all have done. So
And I
know that.
understand Mother Rosemary used to check in church who was present, and on Monday mornings, she would go out to the ranches and say, "I didn't see you in church."
Yeah.
Thank
That's
you very
right.
much, Commissioner.
You Commissioner want to say?
Well, I was born and raised Catholic, went to Catholic school for a bit of my youth, so I just am really honored to have you all here today. I think it's the first time.
Yeah.
I've been up
it
here
is
for
first time.
12 years now. It's the first time, so pleasure to see you all, and congratulations.
But-
The first
Thank you for
time
the
I
work you
spoke
do.
to the commission, one of the commissioners kept doing this, and I thought she meant keep going, keep going. She really meant stop.
That's cute.
Again.
Ms. Mariano?
Thank you. Yeah, the work you have done has been phenomenal over the years. I've talked to many people who have gone to your schools and been thrilled. I will tell you, my daughter graduated from St. Leo, and the education she got there just propelled her life to great new heights. So greatly appreciate everything you guys have done.
Thank you.
Mr. Waitman?
Thanks, Chair. The Sisters of St. Leo, our community really, we need to thank you all, not you all thanking us. You are truly woven into the fabric of Pasco County society for so many generations. And you're probably larger than you know, such a significant part of the character of Pasco County and East Pasco County. And what you all bring and have brought and given to our community is unmeasurable. And I don't think any of us here, anybody in Pasco, could ever show how appreciative we are for you all doing what you do in the great works and just keeping a Christian foundation alive and well in Pasco County. So congratulations on 135 years, and hopefully another 135 years, there'll be another board that celebrates you all. So congratulations.
I don't think I'm gonna make that, so. If y'all would like to join me down below, and we'll get a picture.
I don't have it.
We'll get the chairman. We'll get
Okay, everybody right here, please. Okay, thank you. Excellent, thank you all. Thank you.
I was sitting on the second pen.
Oh. I was wondering what's going on there, but she has a brace on. I thought that was growth. Yeah. Get into the agenda. Try again.
How sweet are they?
Okay. Next resolution.
All right. If you are here for National Crime Victims Week, please step to the podium. Great. I'll go ahead and read the resolution. Resolution number 24-094. A resolution by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, declaring the week of April 21st through the 27th, 2024 as National Crime Victims Week in Pasco County. Whereas surviving a crime can have a myriad of lasting effects on victims, including physical, psychological, social, and financial issues. And whereas we know that countless survivors never tell anyone about what happened to them. And whereas victims of crime deserve to be treated with dignity and respect by the criminal justice system and should have access to the services they need to rebuild their lives. And whereas victim services providers, community members, businesses, places of worship, colleagues, neighbors, and family members can provide victim-centered, trauma-informed, and culturally responsive support. And whereas we must listen to survivors and be willing to create new options for support to ensure that all victims of crime can receive the help they need and seek justice. And whereas it is necessary to create safe environments for survivors of crime, providing not only support but also access to critical services. And whereas in 2024, theme of National Crime Victims Week, Crime Victims' Rights Week is How Would You Help? Options, Services, and Hope for Crime Survivors. And is a call to action to create safe environments for crime victims to share what happened to them. And whereas Pasco County encourages all Pasco County citizens to participate in lighting their homes and public buildings in purple to commemorate the passage of Marsy's Law in Florida and for recognition and support of all crime victims. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, that said board hereby declares the week of April 21st to the 27th, 2024 as National Crime Victims Week in Pasco County and expresses our gratitude and appreciation for our community members, victim service providers, and criminal justice professionals who are committed to providing our response to all victims of crime so that they may find assistance, support, justice, and peace. Done and resolved in regular session with a quorum present and voting this 10th day of April, 2024.
Motion. Second. Got a motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. Well, my name is Joshua Gable. I'm here on behalf of Marsy's Law. I just want to say thank you to Commissioner Waitman for filing this resolution in support of National Crime Victims Week, which will be April 21st through 27th. It's also especially special, I guess, in that we are celebrating 5 years of the implementation of Marsy's Law here in Florida, which helped enshrine those protections for victims of crime. in the state constitution. So it's a very important week for those folks who are victims of crime. Oftentimes their voices are not heard, so these rights give them those protections that they need moving forward in their criminal cases. So any support that you can give to victims of crime is greatly appreciated. Anyone who can light up their buildings in purple, business owners, homeowners, that would be greatly appreciated as well. And thank you to the county for lighting the government center and also the historic courthouse as well for that week. So thank you so much for your time and appreciate that. Thank you.
Mr. White, is this-
Thanks, Chair.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Josh, be hard pressed, there's not a single person in this room who hasn't been impacted by somebody doing some bad thing at some point in time in their life. So Marcy's Law is an important passage, and happy to recognize it here in Pasco County. And with that, I guess, in order to light up the buildings purple, I'd like to make a motion to light up the West Pasco Government Center and the Dade City Courthouse purple in recognition of National Crime Victims Week for April 21st through the 27th of 2024.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed.
Aye.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Josh. Thank you.
Okay. That's it? You want to take
Do
a
you want a
picture with him?
You want a photo?
Yeah, come back. Come back here.
I'm like, what
Well,
happened?
I would like to say, he just kind of walked away, so, but I would like to say that we certainly appreciate all that you do in our community, and it's more than needed. I mean, and sometimes even as much as you can do, it's not enough sometimes. So, but we certainly appreciate you being here. So everybody will join me, we'll get a picture.
Everybody, the phone and then the camera right here. Thank you. Awesome, thank you.
Okay, Madam Clerk, another resolution?
Resolution number 3. If you are here for National County Government Month, please step forward. National County Government Month.
All right, Administrator, come on up.
There you go.
All our employees are here for National County.
Don't be bashful. Don't be bashful now.
I can't wait to hear what you have to say.
I don't even, we'll figure it out.
Someone asked me to do this.
All right. Resolution number 24-090, resolution by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, declaring the month of April 2024 as National County Government Month in Pasco County. Whereas the nation's 3,069 counties, serving more than 330 million Americans, provide essential services to create healthy, safe, and vibrant communities. And whereas counties fulfill a vast range of responsibilities and deliver services that touch nearly every aspect of their residents' lives. And whereas Pasco County and all counties take pride in their responsibility to protect and enhance the health, the well-being, and safety of their residents in efficient and cost-effective ways. And whereas under the leadership of National Association of Counties, President Mary Jo McGuire, NACO, is highlighting county leadership through the lens Forward Together, celebrating the role of the county governments in connecting, inspiring, and leading as intergovernmental partners. And whereas the role includes a responsibility to inspire county residents to engage with their communities and to lead by highlighting our strength as intergovernmental partners. And whereas each year since 1991, the National Association of Counties has encouraged counties across the country to elevate awareness of county responsibilities, programs, services during the month of April. And whereas Pasco County has been a proud member of NACO for over 10 years and is dedicated to serving the community to create a better future through the vision of becoming Florida's premier county and creating a thriving community, enhancing quality of life, stimulating economic growth, and improving organizational performance. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, that said board hereby declares the month of April 2024 as National County Government Month in Pasco County and encourages all county officials, employees, schools, and residents to participate in county government celebration activities. Done and resolved in regular session with a quorum present and voting this 10th day of April 2024.
Move to approve?
Got a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed.
So,
Yep.
so this is something that NACO's doing all across the country. And looking up here at the NACO website with a little information of our 3,069 counties, it's interesting that counties are one of America's oldest forms of government, dating back to 1634, when the first county governments, and they were called shires, were established in Virginia. And as we noted here, there are 3,069 counties and 40,000 county officials that are elected and 3.6 million county employees across the country. So some interesting stats. So just a time to celebrate who and what we are. And so we'll just let you say a few words.
Yeah,
here today.
I'll be very, very brief. It's wonderful to be in our shire here in Pasco. And I've always thought that local government is really has the most effect and the most impact and can be the most meaningful on a citizen's life. You know, we oftentimes get caught up in what goes on at the federal and the state level, but so often overlooked is what happens at your local government level. And so we all play a role. As elected officials, you set the policy and the direction. As administrator, we execute that policy right down to, would you say, 3.2 million employees that do the work day in and day out as public servants. And so we're all public servants. And I think that, you know, as a citizen, as an employee, and just as just a person of the world, I think it's amazing work that we do here at local government. So I think we all should be applauded, team members, board, et cetera, on this entire thing. So thank you for bringing it forward. I think it's a great thing.
Yeah.
I'd like to echo that about all of our employees and
Yeah.
the good work we do. We're all basically working to do things for all of our citizens. I mean, we open the door and we're welcoming and changing things to make them better for our citizens. So we have a lot of work like that to do, and like you said, we're very close to our citizens. When we make agreements and to go forward on building and things of this nature, the state gives them the right to, you know, divide their properties, but the fact of it is, we have the ability to make it look the best it can look. And it takes more than just our county commissioners. It takes all of our staff, and we have got a good staff that's out there helping us do these things more and more. So we're in county's personnel service to everyone in our county, because that's what we do. We're here to help them work through the things if we miss the fact of making the landscaping pretty as it should be in our county, the architecture of buildings being the nicest they can be and what we really want, we're missing it.
And the character
here
of
as
our
county
communities.
commissioners.
Yeah.
Yep. And the care of our community for our safety. And I mean, just in hospitals in our county right now, all the different hospitals that are coming here in Pasco County, it's the best thing in the world. And the benefactor of that is they're all going to vie to be the very best they can be, each and every hospital. And our citizens are the benefactor of that result of that health care. So they get the very best health care here in Pasco County. So, but our staff, we can't do any of this work without our staff. And we certainly appreciate all of our staff that work with us and do the things they do and try to help our citizens get through the daily chores of different buildings and developments that we have coming in to make them the very best they can be. So, anyway. You got to say something, Jack, or?
Yes, sir. You know, and I think county government, as Mike, you say, is the most connected to the people. I think it's critical, especially in Pasco County, the responsibility we have that we're 91, 92% unincorporated. So we've got to provide a lot of services that most counties don't even get involved in. Parks, the libraries. I think the intensity of stormwater improvements we made over the years have been definitely helping our citizens every step of the way. The connectivity between our citizens in getting these developments that are coming through, giving them the voice to come forward and communicating with them, sometimes overly so, Jeff. But I mean, that responsiveness is key, I think, for people, and I think they want to see it, and I think it should be done that way across the whole nation, but I think with counties, we're definitely more responsive.
Yeah. Mr. Williams?
Thanks, Chair. Just goes to echo the fact of firm believer in states' rights and firm believer in home rule with in local government, cities and counties alike, being able to make decisions for the citizens that elected them into those seats. And so it's imperative that we work together and continue to have a common goal of providing the best service we can to our taxpayers, and try to find a way to hire the best and brightest to serve our taxpayers. That way we all communities across this country have just the best places that they can live, work, and play. So thank you everyone here who taken probably a pay cut to work for Pasco County government. Your service is not in vain. We very much appreciate you, and continue the great work. Thank you.
Yeah. Would we like to go down and
Yeah,
have a
let's
picture
take-
with our administrator? Yeah. Okay, our next resolution.
Okay, resolution number 4, Christopher Lowe. Are you here? Come on up to the podium. Did I pronounce your last name correct? Okay, just want to make sure. It's your time. I'll go ahead and read the resolution first, okay? Resolution number 24-092, a resolution by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, recognizing Christopher Lowe for 34 years of service to Pasco County and congratulating him on his retirement. Whereas Christopher Lowe began his career with Pasco County in 1990, working for Road and Bridge for 9 years until he landed with ambulance billing during a stint on light duty and found his forever home as an ambulance billing clerk. And whereas the Pasco County Board of County Commissioners is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living in and visiting Pasco County, and Christopher Lowe has been an integral part of building the successful ambulance billing division of the Pasco County Fire Rescue Department. And whereas Christopher was instrumental in developing the process and procedures while the ambulance billing division grew and digitized, ensuring Pasco County residents get the quality they deserve. And whereas Christopher provided stellar assistance to each ambulance billing supervisor throughout the years with commitment and loyalty. And whereas Christopher has selflessly assisted in training each new hire and the next generation of certified ambulance billers. And whereas Christopher has come to a time in his life and career to pass the baton onto the rising generation of dedicated individuals serving Pasco County and its residents as he embarks on great adventures in his favorite pastime, cruising the ocean. And whereas Christopher's daily presence and knowledge will be immensely missed, not only with his immediate colleagues in the ambulance billing division, but also by the Pasco County Fire Rescue family as a whole. And whereas the Ambulance Billing Division, Pasco County Fire Rescue Department, and everyone who knows Christopher would like to express their best wishes for the cruising of a happy and healthy retirement. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, that said board hereby expresses its sincere gratitude to Christopher Lowe for his 34 years of dedicated service to Pasco County. Done and resolved in regular session with a quorum present and voting this 10th day of April, 2024.
Move approval.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion pass. Welcome.
Thank you. I'd just like to say it's been an honor and a privilege serving these past 34 years working for Pasco County, and especially for fire rescue. They have become like a second family to me, and I'm going to really miss them.
No.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Merrill?
I came to Fire Rescue 5 years ago as an assistant ambulance billing supervisor, and I'm now the ambulance billing manager. Christopher has been a big part of my career here at the county and has guided us all for 34 years, going from the Stone Ages to where we are now. So we can't thank him enough for all that he's done.
Chris, I'd like to say 34 years, what a great career. We're getting a sense that you're passionate about what you were doing. And that passion radiates with your whole team, as it seems. Fire EMS has been very important to the county. And it's such a great burden for our fire EMS responders to go out and do it. But we need people as well in the back, making sure the collections happen, the ideas about how do we charge the insurance companies, how do we make the collections happen? Because if you don't have the funding coming in, it's hard to give them the resources they need every step of the way as well. So what you did for over these past 34 years has been phenomenal. We greatly appreciate it, and we're happy to give you this resolution to honor you.
Thank you.
Mr. Waitman?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, Mr. Lowe, we just went to my chief's first graduating fire class, and we're sitting next to the county administrator, and all the fire and EMS class was coming up and receiving their graduation certificate, and then came the next class of billing clerks. And, you know, tone kind of changed in the room a little bit, not as many cheers, what have you. But I told Mike, I said, these folks right here don't know how integral and important they are to our organization in making sure fees are collected to ensure that our fire department, our EMS services are able to have the funding to run efficiently and get what we need to get the job done. So thank you for all your work. I recognize your team, the generation that's coming after you. Congratulations on 34 years, and I hope you get all the sunburns you can capture from now to your retirement. So congrats.
Ms. Starkey?
So you started the county in 1990, and that's when I started dating my husband, actually. And so, my gosh, you've seen a lot of change. Just congratulations, and I think they're still your family, and I'm sure that you can hang out with them anytime you want. So don't think it's the end. It's just beginning of something different.
I'll be visiting.
Yeah. Yeah. So congratulations.
Christopher, 34 years is a long time. I spent 51 years in my business before I walked away, but I didn't cry. I guess I didn't have the same feeling there at the time.
I wasn't planning on it.
That
When I
shows how
walk
much
away
you
from
love
this,
it.
when I walk away from this job, working with the people and the staff we have, like you have that worked with you for 34 years, the short period of time that I'm here, when I walk away, I believe I'll cry too. So I certainly appreciate all the staff. I certainly appreciate all that staff that helped you go through that 34 years without having too many heart attacks or issues of that nature, but to help you get through what you had to get through. And in the process, I know that we've trained someone to maybe step in and hopefully do as good a job as you do. And for the staff, that's what we're here. Not everybody's a supervisor, not everybody's the leader, but that's why those people behind us are learning every day to be able to do the job that you've done for that 34 years, and we got to be thankful for them learning and willing to step up when it's their time to come into that type of leadership and do that kind of job. So we certainly appreciate all the work you've done in 34 years, and I just applaud you for being here and doing what you did. It makes a lot of difference. And the brotherhood of the firemen, there's none better than the EMS and the firemen. I've seen it, and it's just amazing what you see, the brotherhood that you have. And when Ms. Starkey said that you come back and visit with them, they'll welcome you back anytime to visit with them, I'm sure. So would y'all like to join me down below? I want to take a picture.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Excuse me.
JJ?
JJ wants to speak.
I just want to say something real quick. You know, I really appreciate his time. We treated him so well, we kicked him out of his office last month. After all these years, we're doing a rehab of the facility. But let's not forget, it is one team. The chief says one team, one scene. But the ambulance billing clerks brought in over $3 million over projected budget last year. So these people work hard for the county, and that allows us to do all of our work.
Right.
So I just want to say thank you on behalf of public safety.
That's wonderful.
All right, that's great.
Mr. Chairman?
Oh, yeah,
Mr. Chairman?
if there's additional people, please come up.
Yeah.
What you want, Ted?
I was going to say, Mr. Chairman, let's get all our fire executives here as well. Let's give them the picture.
Congratulations.
All the white shirts.
I hope you retired one day too, but
Oh, what a great.
service to the community. Here, I'll move down. These chairs back. It's down there. Right here. He's so tall. You're like wondering, look at these two tall guys. Oh my gosh, you need to stand behind them.
I think they beat me.
I think so.
I've talked to JJ, I think he would sandbag their revenue projections.
Oh, now you know.
Oh, the target.
You need to switch with them.
Actually, this guy is.
No, it's okay. You got it? Oh, sure.
Okay, everybody right here, please. All right, thank you all. Appreciate it.
I still have another one. Go ahead and get started on that.
Oh! Wonderful. Yes, how about you? Yeah.
Nice to see you again.
How are you, sir? Doing all right? Fine. Have a great rest of the day. Yeah. It's 6 a.m. school run. It's like,
We have one more.
Oh, here it is.
Okay.
Yeah, 'cause we got stuff coming up this morning, so we gotta get going. I can't have the DOT guy come back again. No. Let's go.
Okay.
What's wrong? He's gonna do something real quick.
Okay.
Go ahead and read that, though.
Do you want me to call the next resolution? You can do the next resolution.
Yeah, you can go ahead and start the resolution.
Okay. So resolution number 5, if you're here for Building Safety Month in Pasco County, please step to the podium. Wonderful. I'll go ahead and read the resolution. Resolution number 24-093, a resolution by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, declaring the month of May 2024 as Building Safety Month in Pasco County. Whereas Pasco County is committed to recognizing that our growth and strength depend upon the safety and essential role of our homes, buildings, and infrastructure play both in everyday life and when disasters strike. And whereas our confidence in the resilience of the buildings that make up our community is achieved through the devotion of diligent professionals such as building safety and fire prevention officials, architects, engineers, builders, tradespeople, design professionals, laborers, plumbers, and others in the construction industry who work year-round to ensure the safe construction of buildings. And whereas these professionals are dedicated members of the International Code Council, a nonprofit that brings together local, state, territorial, tribal, and federal officials who are experts in the building industry to create and implement the highest quality codes to protect citizens in the buildings in which they live, work, and play. And whereas modern building codes include safeguards to protect the public from hazards such as hurricanes, snowstorms, tornadoes, wildland fires, floods, and earthquakes. And whereas Building Safety Month is sponsored by the International Code Council to remind the public about the crucial role of our community's largely unknown protectors of public safety, our local code officials, who assure us of safety, sustainability, and affordable buildings that are essential to our prosperity. ANRAS in 2024 theme for Building Safety Month is Mission Possible, which encourages us all to raise awareness about building safety on a personal, local, and global scale. ANRAS each year in observance of Building Safety Month, people all over the world are asked to consider the commitment to improve building safety, resilience, and economic investment at home and in the community, and to acknowledge the essential service provided to all citizens by local and state building departments, fire prevention bureaus, and federal agencies in protecting lives and property. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, that said board hereby declares the month of May 2024 as Building Safety Month in Pasco County and encourages all Pasco County citizens to join in participation of Building Safety Month activities. Done and resolved in regular session with a quorum present and voting this 10th day of April 2024.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, for your eloquence. Mr. Chair, Commissioners, Mr. Snyder, and Carbala, thank you for your flexibility in getting this on the agenda. We've got some special stuff planned this year for Building Safety Month, and I'd like to talk about that quickly. Pasco County Building Construction Services is proud to take part in the International Code Council's observation of May as Building Safety Month. We do this to raise awareness about building safety, building codes, and the men and women who keep us safe. This campaign reinforces the need for the adoption of modern, regularly updated building codes and helps individuals, families, and businesses understand what it takes to create safe and sustainable structures. This year, we're focusing on how building safety is a personal, local, state, and global initiative that begins with you. We use building codes as a tool to protect citizens from everyday disasters like the ones you mentioned in the resolution. I think in Florida, we had all of them last month, including the snowstorm in the Panhandle. As well as property maintenance standards, which help prevent deterioration of our structures over time, leading to structural collapse or worse, other property loss. These codes ensure that the places where we live, work, worship, and play are safe, and they accommodate the needs of all people of all abilities. This year, to increase our outreach efforts, one of the things that we are doing to celebrate the Building Safety Month is taking our show on the road. Born out of a meeting with the Shady Hills Community Association, one of the things we're doing, and I don't think we've ever done previously, is we're going to go out to the LC Logan Center on Saturday, May the 4th from 10 to 3, and we're going to have a development services day that focuses on both community outreach, question and answer, but also to help our folks who have transportation issues or difficulties navigating some of our electronic resources. They're going to be able to come to us right there in their neighborhood and get the questions they need answered and possibly leave with a permit if they can. So we're going to have everything from a permit tech, plans reviewer, building officials, minimum standards folks, to kind of help sort out all the issues that anyone might encounter with BCS. We're very proud of being able to do this. We don't know what we're going to get, but we're hopefully excited to get the word out. And we have some great community volunteers in the area that are going to help us do that. We're going to bring our A team. We're about 12 to 15 people will be out there. Again, that is 10 to 3 at LC Logan on Saturday the 4th. And then finally, as a new request this year, in order to increase awareness and increase compliance with building codes, we are requesting the board waive all after-the-fact permitting fees for the entire month of May. For those who don't know, an after-the-fact fee is when you have unpermitted work and we find out about it after the fact, that fee is there as a little bit of a penalty or a fine to ensure that you don't make a habit of doing that. Typically what happens is our minimum standards folks will go out and generate a violations case, and that process can take some time. Well, one of the things we'd like to do is clear out some of the backlog, but really entice folks to come into compliance with our building code, because at the end of the day, public safety is our number one priority, not penalizing folks for maybe not doing it right the first time. So we're asking the board to waive that in an upcoming resolution, I think later in the agenda. And we, just as by way of the numbers, since 2016, we've had over 2,100 building permit violations for unpermitted work, with about 1,000 possibly outstanding. In 2023, we had 544 cases of unpermitted work. And so we really would like to clear that out. And I think that if we cross that threshold over 100, I think I owe the minimum standards team lunch personally. But we are very excited to see and try something new and try to increase those outreach efforts and work with folks to have our buildings come into compliance and be safe. So with that, thank you for your support, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Chairman, just some comments. Yes, and I'm delighted that we're doing this amnesty program. It runs the entire month of May. The benefit to bringing everybody into compliance is huge. The incentive that's out there, I think, is hopefully something we can promote and have a lot of success. So I appreciate you guys bringing that forward. That is under the consent on the C6, so I'm sure that'll be coming right through.
Yeah. That kind of goes against my grain as gift forgiveness and not doing a permit to begin with. Because I'm a stickler about I want people to do the permit. So, but I'm okay with doing that, given for one time. But we need not do this every year.
Agreed. Yeah, you can't just wait till May, right?
Because I want them to do it the right way to begin with. I know the other commissioners want the same thing. So, but it's a good thing here in Pasco that we do see that we've had this issue before. We're going to correct it. We're going to go forward with a better step forward with getting our permits on time, on a timely basis. Any other?
Well, I just think it's very innovative what you're doing. I'm really glad that we have you here. I think you're doing a great job, and it'll be interesting to see how many come forward. So, and how many you forgive. So please give us a report. So
yeah,
then thanks for all the work you're doing.
Mr. Waitman?
Thank you. Yeah, good luck with getting folks to tell on themselves. So be curious to see the data on that. But no, it's important. A PR campaign, as Commissioner Interim Chairman Mariano stated earlier, especially if they're businesses, right? Get in compliance, get your permit. You don't want something to fail or get in trouble, and then all of a sudden you have 50 work comp claims because your employees were hurt in your building because you tried to take a shortcut. So I hope, especially our businesses, if they have a couple of violations, that they can use this time to reflect and get back into compliance and take advantage of the goodwill the county's extending out there. That way, for their sake and for the sake of their employees, that everybody can be healthy and happy and continue on. So thank you.
Very good. Did you want to say something? Stay up here. We're going to take a picture. Roy, did you want to say something to this? Or yeah, I see you sitting up on the front row, so.
Just watching my man's back, you know.
Well, that's good. That's good support.
Well, with the PR campaign is important, very important. But to my staff's credit, I believe there's like Little League Baseball going on next door. And that's kind of why we planned it on a Saturday, so that we got, you know, a little league ball going on, so people might see this as they're driving by. Who knows? This came out of a discussion, just an organic, collaborative discussion with the Shady Hill Civic Association folk. Pastor Jen had this kind of idea. We started to kick it around, and boom, here we are. We're doing this. And so, let me also say, this is also a nice rehearsal for emergency management. If we are in a situation where we have to mobilize a group of people and go and set up somewhere else to conduct business, this is a small dry run to that effect, and so there is some value there as well. So really hats off.
That's good.
to JP, my internal project manager, Melissa Walganeri, for putting this idea together and making it happen.
Okay, thank you. Let's go down and get a picture. So. Okay, that was our last resolution this morning. So the next order of business is our consent agenda. I have a pull sheet that has C9 to be withdrawn, C34 withdrawn, C13 pull and discuss, and C14 pull and discuss. Is there anything else the commissioners would like to pull at this time?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
If I may, C6, while it can stay on consent, shouldn't have really been under District 5. That should be under Development Services, Building Construction Services. It is a resolution. It is not a ceremonial resolution. It is basically waiving the building fees, as you just heard in the previous ceremonial resolution. So it's just in the wrong place in the consent.
It should be added to this.
No, I'm just noting for the record that it should have been under Development Services, Building Construction Services, rather than Commissioner Mariano. As long as that's on the record, it can stay.
Oh, okay, we're fine then. All right, thank you. Any other items need to be withdrawn or pulled at this time? Commissioners?
Move approval of the remaining consent agenda.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the regular consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All like sign or nay, so pass 4-0. Now we move to C9 is withdrawn, C34 withdrawn, pull C13 to pull and discuss.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, pulled this item. I had to send a few pictures over. Did they come up? Just, okay. 5A is a great addition to the trail system we have in the county. Alongside is on Beacon Woods East, there's a linear trail that was given to the county. We never accepted it, so there was an accident there this past year. The pictures will show that you kind of see some gaping holes that are there, some gaps underneath if you can keep on flipping. Sidewalks, we got signs up there saying it's closed. People are still riding on it. See the signs on the sides of those, there's like gaps underneath where there's air.
Where it's washed
that
out.
Could collapse at any time. We're going to be building a trail to the side of it. You can kind of see those gaps under there on the first left side. That's what it's like. So it's dangerous, and that's where someone has gone. So it's not our responsibility to fix it because it's not accepted by us, but I'm going to say if we're going to build this trail, before we build that, we should be tearing part of that out, working with the association to do it. Carl McKiska was looking at this. I know they tried to look at it. I don't know if we had done anything with it to make that happen, but as this is coming forward now, the urgency to get this done before we put our trail in, I think is critical. So if Mike, if you can work with our team and the association to kind of come together for what to do with this, it'll be, I think, in the benefit for all the citizens. And with that, I'll move approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed 4-0. Next item is C14. Mr. Mariano.
Yes, I just want to highlight this sidewalk project along Kitten Trail, which is much needed, and appreciate staff moving so quickly to move it up the line to get it done quickly. And I'll move approval with that.
Okay. You got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed 4-0. That ends the consent agenda. And we'll move on to go to the regular agenda. And it's R36, I believe.
Yes.
Okay.
Good
Welcome.
morning. My name's Tyler Matthews. I'm here to represent Florida Department of Transportation. I'm the Brooksville operations engineer that maintains and does roadway construction on state roadways for Pasco, Hernando, and Citrus counties. On a quick personal note, it was really great to see Sister Roberta up here. I went to the Holy Name Academy in San Antonio, St. Leo.
Good.
Wow.
So that was really cool. And then also Deputy Chief Sean Whited, I was part of his Firefighter Explorers program. So Want to let you guys all know that Pasco County and how it looks and how we operate is important to me. And so I'm also a public servant with FDOT. So real brief history on why I'm up here talking about invasive species. I did not, this is not a passion project for me. So on March 19th, I joined Commissioner Starkey on a ride-along along State Road 52. We noted areas of invasive kogan grass on private property and within the state of Florida right-of-way. Some of these areas were also identified in active construction projects. So during this ride-along, I was invited to discuss how the Department of Transportation handles invasive species in the state right-of-way. FDOT recognized a list of top invasive plant species on our website and in our standard specification handbook. The top two of these species being kogan grass and tropical soda apple, which we encountered on our ride-along.
Nasty one.
So to protect the right-of-way of these invasive species, we require our construction and maintenance contracts to follow specifications for identifying and removing such plants. Since our ride-along, the areas
Can you repeat that sentence again?
Sure. To protect the right-of-way of these invasive species, we require construction and maintenance contracts to follow specifications for identifying and removing such plants.
Yeah.
So since our ride-along, those areas that we've noted are being handled as part of the program. So those that were in the construction projects were sent to the contractors to eradicate that kogan grass. And then areas outside of construction projects, our maintenance folks have begun to address that. For construction, we use our standard specifications handbook while holding contractors responsible for providing the best product as possible. With respect to vegetation, we reference Section 570 of Performance Turf. This is just a chapter in our specifications that outline placing sod in the right-of-way and what our expectations is for that sod. Contractors are required to monitor it for exotic and invasive pest plants. If a invasive or exotic pest plant is found within 30 to 60 days, contractor is required to eradicate it at no expense to the department. If it's after the 60 days, we still tell them to eradicate it, but the department may compensate them for that. So either way, it is our plan to eradicate it and not let it live. So part of that Section 570 is turf establishment. So we expect when you throw a square of sod out, it's not going to grow quickly. So it does have some time to establish. If there's any kind of latent seeds or anything that could grow, they're also expected to monitor that. If during establishment we make sure there's no competing vegetation, exotic or invasive plants. You must monitor the turf areas and remove all competing vegetation. Remove such vegetation regularly by acceptable means. And then further on in Section 570, we talk about the responsible party being the contractor. Once the construction project is over, all maintenance is handed over back to the Department of Transportation or the maintaining agency if it is on a county road or a city road. But the turf establishment remains. So if they laid sod 2 days away from final acceptance, that 60 days still remains. So they must monitor it and then eradicate anything that's invasive after that. For our maintenance division, we're held to a standard of the maintenance rating program, which we call MRP. That is 3 periodic inspections per year of all of our state roadways, and it's random. We pick about 35 points within each of our areas in District 7. These inspections evaluate all aspects of the roadway and include vegetation elements, landscaping, mowing, and turf conditions. Turf in the mowing area is required to be 75% free of undesirable vegetation alone or in combination. Kogan grass and tropical soda apple are included in the undesirable vegetation list in the MRP handbook. If it's greater than 25% consumed with these invasive species, it fails that point and it affects our MRP score. For areas of invasive vegetation that are found within the right-of-way, FDOT has an inventory of these locations. It's a spreadsheet that stays on my computer, which is fun to peruse occasionally. On this inventory, we track the area if it's isolated and also if it's encroaching from public or private property. which we witnessed plenty of that. We track the square footage, previous treatment dates, and we also document the type of herbicide we used. And we've discussed it on our ride through. We used the glyphosate herbicide for our treatment. FDOT uses a combination of contracted support and in-house herbicide applicators that are certified through the Department of Agriculture and require continuing education hours. We recommend, poor application can hurt the applicator and the environment, so it's important that you get certified applicators. That's all that I've got. That concludes what I've discussed. If you've got any questions.
So we have, well, I'm very glad that you're here, and I see my administrators making lots of notes. We have some staff that's going to talk about what we're doing, and then I think we could take questions. Does that work? Because I have some questions and comments.
That sounds good. I'll have our Public Works team come up first, and then Development Services.
But I'm very encouraged from what I hear is
Yeah.
there. I probably, if I was really on the ball, I would have had Swift Mud here as well, because they are very on top of their coconut grass.
You have a little bit better with Ed Blummel from the Commissioner of Agriculture's office here today.
Well, I'm going to ask him for money. I'm glad he's here.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning to the board and staff. Good to see you all again. My name is Barrett Doe, and I serve as the Assistant Director for the Public Works Department over Operations and Technical Services. So we had a great meeting with Commissioner Starkey on the 28th of March to discuss a landscaping project, and Kogan grass came up. So very excited for the opportunity to share what we're doing internally at the staff level here. So as you all know, Kogan grass came into the U.S. in the early 1900s and has been named one of the worst weeds in the world. It's invasive, it spreads easily, it outcompetes other species for resources, which is key, and nothing eats it. So it's definitely a problem. While there's no single one treatment that can effectively eliminate the grass, we feel that with a unified effort, we can at least mitigate the spread of the species. So last summer, what we did is Public Works created a Kogan grass or invasive species standard operating procedure, which trains staff how to identify Kogan grass, what to do when it's encountered, and how to make sure that it does not spread once it's encountered, because that is a big deal. Once you encounter it, what do you do to make sure it doesn't spread? Herbicide and soil removal, removed to the county landfill, have been our practice once encountered, and we are still monitoring and tracking. We have a database indicating the areas where we found and treated Kogan grass within the county right-of-way, so we are making sure it doesn't come back once removed.
Well, you've only treated a few spots.
A few spots, correct.
Starkey
Yep, that's correct, yep. In addition to what Public Works has done with the standing operating procedure, we have added language that applies to all applicable contractors during the solicitation process, kind of echoing what FDOT is doing. So once we are going out to bid for a new mowing contract or landscaping contractors, we have now added language saying that you must provide us with an invasive species action plan, which is an umbrella that covers Kogan grass. The same thing can be said, as well as the same thing can apply to our capital improvement projects. For example, a landscaping medium project. When those contractors come on board, we need to make sure that they address invasive species. So we've added that to the solicitation, to the bid process. Also, I'm happy to report on February 9th, a Kogan grass action plan meeting was held with the Department of Public Works, Planning and Economic Growth, Parks, Rec, Natural Resources, and the Development Review Department. The purpose was to collaborate what the county can do as a whole to tackle this, because it involves, it's going to take a multi-pronged effort to tackle this. And I'll let the team, the department speak, but in summary, the zoning administrator from PEG is working on facilitating a change to the Land Development Code, which addresses the handling of invasive species, including Kogan grass. Natural Resources has also added a condition of approval to zoning approvals that can be conditioned during reviews, and site plan approvals processed by the DRD team. So this effort will be huge in the mitigation of the spread. Once that has been completed, Public Works is going to take the lead on including other departments like the traffic operations, traffic engineering department, as well as utilities, because they're out and about a lot too. They can come across this stuff at any time of the day or night, and so we're going to include all applicable departments. We feel like that's going to be key to mitigating the spread. And lastly, what will also be key and the most important is a public-private partnership. During the FDOT presentation, private property was brought up several times. So we will need the public's buy-in to help the county mitigate the spread. And we've already had talks of developing some sort of an incentive program. There's going to be Kogan grass awareness brochures, things like that going out. So we are currently exploring those options, and we will reach out to all municipalities as well as we share borders with them to see what Kogan grass action plans they have, what they're doing, so we can all get on the same page. We'll be in communication with FDOT throughout the process, making sure we have a unified effort on all fronts. And Public Works will share the finalized countywide action plan or package to all stakeholders, including the board, once it's completed. And just want to thank Planning and Economic Growth, Parks and Rec, Natural Resources, Development Review Department. County attorneys have been involved. Of course, our team at Public Works, Mr. Dumois for his guidance, and Mr. Carballa for his support. And happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, and if we could get our FDOT gentleman back up.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead and stay up there. I'm glad we're addressing this. You know, Commissioner Mariano has heard me talking about this since I got elected, and now we've got a huge problem. When, 10 years ago, we had a little problem. Just driving here today, I think Marata is full of it in their entrance feature. So I'm really encouraged to hear what FDOT does. And I know that SwiftMud does not, as soon as they find it on their property, they take care of it as well. One of the thoughts that we had was, it's going to be tough to how do we deal with the private landowner and the public right-of-way when they butt together. One of our thoughts was maybe doing how SwiftMud does fire breaks, that maybe there needs to be a clear zone between the private landowner's land, if it has an invasive grass, and the public right-of-way, because if it's not, then the rhizomes go underground and they just, every time you mow it, it spreads and makes it thicker. It blocks out every other plant, correct? I mean, that's kind of what you were saying. And I wondered, with the Commissioner of Agriculture's staffer here, I'd love to see if there could be some state funding, and our lobbyist is over here, for some kind of program like this, because unless the state helps, we're not going to get rid of it. It's a big lift, and if we don't get it under control, it's just going to cost us more and more and more. You have some thoughts?
No, I wanted Roy to come up real quick and talk about some of the things, because I think the private side that you mentioned too, and land development, some of the stuff that they're working on, it just contributes to this discussion. That's all.
Okay.
Roy.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Roy Major, Development Services. So, thank you.
Oh.
So I just have a one pager here, and just to detail what we're going for, and that's based on Land Development Code amendment that we have underway. Our Land Development Code amendments is based on research provided by IFAS and also the Florida Invasive Species Council, the FISC guidelines. My group also did research on what's going on in the state of Alabama. They have a pretty aggressive invasive control program. Also the state of Georgia. We're approaching this again through the Land Development Code procedures. We have Land Development Code that's gone through the ODT process, where we're changing the code in 24 different places. Everything from preliminary plan submittals to community gardens to many different places in the code, 24 in total. We're targeting the Planning Commission on May 16th for this amendment. The BOCC first reading is targeted June 4th. And what you see on the screen right here is just an example of how we're changing the code. And I would point toward, we're asking for BMP guidelines, types of treatment, providing for the appropriate method of disposal to prevent propagation, ongoing maintenance, and monitoring controls of invasive plant species. So we're not only asking for a identification of these species on your property, but we are asking for how you're going to collect it and dispose of it. That's the key. How are you going to dispose of it? I would also add that we are referencing the FISC guidelines, and that's not only for Kogan grass. That's going to be Lygodium, soda apple, air potato.
Yeah, that's so bad.
Brazilian pepper. All the big invasives. I think it's important that we reference this group's guidelines. This is the central authority in the state of Florida for invasive control. As they update their list, then the people who would be doing land development will have to know what that list is and respond to that list, rather than us calling them out one by one and having to revise our code. We're just referencing this list. As it gets updated, the land development community will have to respond to that updated list.
Something that comes to my mind as I'm driving here, I know there's a whole pasture of Kogan grass on the right-hand side. And I can tell you that that's not ag. There is no agriculture benefit to have a pasture of Kogan grass. No. So they could very easily lose their ag exemption because cows don't eat it, nothing eats it. No trees can grow in it. It just, people could be losing their ag exemption if they have a field of Kogan grass.
I think you'll find property owners that are neighboring some of our developments and all that'd be more than happy to also get rid of it at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think this is really good, and I wish we had done it a while ago, but better late than never.
Well, I think the most came about when you brought it up about Overpass Road. After we developed Overpass Road, you spotted it there right close to the park. So that's where it's first noticed here.
I've seen it along 52.
I'm sure there's other places, but yeah.
Driving over here is what really gets my blood boiling.
Well, we're rural, so it's kind of behind, but.
I had a question for the DOT gentleman. This is not to Kogan grass, but this is on your swales. When they grow up and they get really thick, do you ever mow them, or I have some businesses on 54 that have some issues with.
I've spoken to a couple of those businesses
okay.
myself, though. It depends if it's a swale or if it's a pond. So some of those areas are linear ponds, so they do hold water like most of the time of the year. We don't typically trim those down or manicure them unless it's a permit violation with Swift Mud or there's a safety concern. But we have been speaking with some of the business owners that have asked if they want to come out into the right-of-way. We usually send them an email that says if you're comfortable with that or if we allow that, so that they can address it to their liking.
Okay, they can at least trim it so that it's not a wall in front of their business. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you guys have any thoughts? I mean, I think this is great that to learn what's going on, what the state does, and then what we're planning on doing. So,
okay, that's good.
Yes, sir. Barrett, maybe on behalf, but mosquito control is always running around spraying and treating things. Maybe we could reach out to them, partner with them.
Oh, good
get
idea.
Get them certified and have them chemical on their trucks, and they see it and document it and spray it. They might be a nice partner to have.
Could be.
In spot treatment.
Okay. It'd be good to reach out to them and find out if they can be a partner on that. So.
And I just want to make sure you all share information there, because there was a lot of good data with the FDOT.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I just want to say, Mr. Carbello, when you came on as administrator, one of the key things was you getting the right people in the right position. Bringing Roy and Jason in were like huge. To spot talent like Barrett Doe, who is doing a phenomenal job. Thank you for what you're doing, and Barrett, keep up the great work.
Thank you. Yes.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah. FDOT has been a great partner of Pasco County, I can tell you, and they still are. And as I'm bringing Ralph up, I've got one item I need a vote from the board on, and has come to my attention that FDOT has asked for a letter of support for a federal rural grant for the State Road Rural Safety and Economic Mobility Project of the widening 52 from 41.
Oh, yes.
To Bellamy.
Move to approve.
For Bellamy, to actually, this grant will allow us to do the entire section at one time.
With the sidewalk?
Which will speed up.
With the sidewalk where
With
we
a
need it.
12-foot shared use path to encourage alternative transportation.
That's on the north side, but wherever we need it, because
Yeah.
in some places, the developer's gonna be able to put it on the south side. but
So I actually need that vote. I've got the letter ready to go and,
With
okay.
my modification.
modification. All right, we'll talk to FDOT on that modification, so. But,
We are.
so I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And that passes 4-0. And my assistant Marie can go ahead and get that started. So it's ready to go. All right, with that, Ralph, you got the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Good morning, Ralph Lair, Intergovernmental Affairs Officer. Today we're going to have a 2024 session, legislative session recap, and I'm going to have our state legislative lobby team, Sunrise Consulting, Sean Foster and Andrew Khalil, come up and give a presentation for you about all the wonderful things that the legislature did to us this year.
Did you say all those wonderful things? Wow.
They got to come out wonderful now, Sean.
Yeah,
Remember
it better
that.
end up wonderful. Nice little bow tie there.
Yeah.
Thank you all for letting us have the opportunity to come speak before you all. But I wanted to say too, that workshop that we did, Mike, was very helpful. A lot of the issues that we worked on, that we talked about, came before session. And I would just, don't want to forget, because maybe we can talk about setting a date of doing that again over the summer. But I think that was very helpful for this session. And of course, I think can help plan for next year's session with some ideas and issues that I think that'll come up. Andrew Khalil has done a phenomenal job on the local issues. I do want to say, I can't believe I'm bringing that. He actually, because of how well he's doing on the type of issues for counties and cities, the Florida League of Cities tried to hire him from me a few months ago, so I'm glad he stayed with us. He is I am not kidding you. He has really come in, rolled up his sleeves on these issues. And when we go into these meetings in FAIR, where I think Jack, you guys came to me with a couple of those meetings we had in Tallahassee, you kind of see some of the lead that Andrew and our firm kind of takes in this, because obviously we represent you and a couple other counties, but we are very interested in these issues. This session did not get extended. We got the budget done on time. There's always a rumor that the budget's not going to get done on time, but it did. 2025 sessions coming up March, April, as you know, it changes, January, February, March, April. I always kind of give you an update. 2,000 bills passed, 16%, a little bit higher than average, actually twice as much. And there's other significant legislation that was very leading, which the leaders had in the House and the Senate, healthcare and social media that they had. Kind of the areas in and around Pasco County that were a great benefit to us. As you can see, some of the items, the Pasco County Sheriff's Office, Wellness Center, $1.65 million. We're just talking about the FDOT, got the Pasco County Bridge construction, $25.3 million. Newport Richey got a mobile library. Not all these, of course, are yours, but other ones around. Newport Richey Fire Station, $1 million. And even right here in our backyard, not too far, Zephyr Hills, septic to sewer, $1.5 million. Kind of gives you an idea right here in your backyard. I want to give you, before I go into the budget real quick, just kind of, yes, sir.
What was it? What was a bridge?
Can you go back? Yeah, that one's too
Andrew, am I messing it up?
The bridge is a state project that just in Pasco County Bridge Construction. I used some more details, 23 pedestrian bridge.
The pedestrian bridge?
That's just, I'll double check. I think it's a separate bridge.
The 25 million? Pedestrian bridge? Okay.
Could you repeat that into the microphone so that the record
couldn't
has
hear
it?
it.
Yes. I was saying it must be, and Ralph might be able to confirm, I believe, Commissioner.
But that amount, though, I'm looking at the amount, no, that wasn't.
Yeah, I'm gonna double check that number right now, and I'll send
Did
it to
we
you.
get money for a pedestrian?
No, that's not the white one.
No, that's not the one you're thinking about.
That one's a different thing.
Okay.
He's going to look that up. Actually, he carries his computer everywhere, goes to, you know, this is why he brings it. Overall budget, $117 billion. Things in the session went around, as you communicated, and we saw in our reports, very, very well between the House and the Senate. Right at the end, the governor came back in and had some initiatives that he wanted, and so it kind of escalated the budget. Live local, as you can see, SHIP, 174 million, affordable sale, 84. I will say this, we have been in a very healthy spot for our budgets, but I do want to give a couple of indications too moving forward. This budget is quite higher, about $4 billion higher than it was just a few years ago, and so a lot of those indications are inflation, right? The cost of building roads and others. But I do want to give you something that was really significant just a few months ago. The first time since July of 2020, sales tax expectations did not meet expectations. So what does that mean? Meaning the Revenue Estimating Conference meets every single month and quarterly to give you ideas on how it's going to be for the next year, next 5 years. For the first time, sales tax revenue did not meet expectations after COVID. It's kind of, yes, ma'am.
Isn't some of this money from the feds as a kind of a padding from COVID?
So when I'm talking about these sales tax revenues, no.
No, not
this is
sales tax,
general
the
revenue.
budget.
So a great question. Of that entire budget, 50 million is general revenue, meaning 50 million is what we collect through the state. The rest of that 50 to 117 is trust fund and pass through the federal government. Okay. So the part that I'm talking about right now is just the 50 billion that we have seen grow. We're seeing some slowdown in sales. You're seeing some slowdown in home sales, right? The dock sales tax. Some of the items that have come up higher than expectation were our investments were higher, and so were our corporate. But it was just pretty significant. The first time that we've seen sales tax revenue not hit their expectations for almost 4 years. So it's kind of giving some revenue estimating conference folks some caution looking at what some of our revenue collections could be next year. That impacts you all. If we're seeing a lower sales tax revenue collections, counties will see it.
Commissioner Mariano, so there is, as I put on the slide, FDOT, Pasco County, there is a direction to FDOT, and I don't have any further details for you, but $25.3 million for bridge construction in Pasco County.
Okay. Is it pedestrian? Does it spell out what kind of bridge?
Don't get it confused. Sean, what percent did we miss getting that revenue, that tax revenue? How much were we short on that?
Well, their expectations, I'm not reading my glasses, were 30 million short. What we have seen, what was so significant, Commissioner, is that we generally have exceeded it by over 100 million. So in any other quarter or any type of time that we've seen it, they've actually exceeded their expectation. We actually didn't exceed it, but actually came below it. So pretty significant.
Yeah.
I mean, 100 million a year is, over $1 billion.
For some reason, it was delayed.
Right.
Yeah.
But, and I'll just say, water projects, going back to this real quick, I wanted to give you a little bit of update. This is not in our update, but we're going to see probably some major changes in how water projects are done, Ralph. I've met with Senator Albritton. He's an incoming Senate president. He doesn't really like the way that water projects are done. He sees sometimes that areas who have leadership get more preference. So obviously, if you have leadership, you're happy. He'd like to see more of a priority-driven process when it comes to water projects. And he spoke to me about it. Actually, he spoke to some other groups I understand recently also. So we may see some changes. I would still say, though, that may be one of the priorities we want to look at again for next year and kind of dividing that up as we did in the workshop. But expect a different process if he's successful on how water projects. Right now, water projects are submitted through legislative request. They go through the committee process, and they're approved by the committee of leadership within that committee, and then above that. So it's one of the last items. I always get asked about that, and as Ralph knows, it's one of the last items that comes out of the budget because they're holding that for negotiation. So that may be one of the reasons why they're wanting to make a change. Pasco County appropriations, we got the Parkway Boulevard, we were just talking about that sidewalk project, the Wilton Way extension, the pedestrian overpass, the Pasco Fire radio replacement, and the senior center. So I'd say for a tough year, we came out pretty good in some of those areas. I feel we could have done a little bit better. And this was pretty contentious. I know you worked a little bit on this. If you want to talk about this one for just a bit.
So I know that, good morning, Commissioners. So this is the public camping, the homeless bill. This was a very contentious bill, Sean said, in the legislature. And what this bill does is it limits, people just can't be sleeping everywhere. Local governments will need to designate for recurring normal use of sleeping, public camping. It has to be someone, a person who's sleeping somewhere in a right of way 1 or 2 times, that's fine. It's the ongoing other local government, probably not Pasco County, the ongoing allowance of people to just sleep all over the place on public lands is kind of where this bill came from. So you as a commission will have to designate if you have public land and public buildings that you'd like to allow people who are homeless to sleep on. You'll have to designate that land. You have to get that land certified, that area certified through DCF. There's going to be a program that you're going to have to apply to DCF, get DCF to give you a certificate that this land can be used for, I'm not sure what the word I want to use, housing the homeless. That's not the term I want to use. And then that's only good for a year, and then you have to re-up it. During a state of emergency, people who are displaced will, this law will be suspended, and that bill was already signed into law by the governor.
Okay, lots of questions on this. And
Yes,
I see
ma'am,
Kathy and I talked about this yesterday. What does this mean, preempts local governments from authorizing? We don't authorize people to sleep on public property unless they're, in one of our parks in a cabin or a regulated campsite, so.
So there are some, and that's where this came from. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, so there were some local governments and county governments in the state of Florida that were allowing public camping in their
You mean like
areas.
under a bridge in Miami? That kind of?
That would be an example, on sidewalks near beaches, right away. So that's what they were referring to when they put that language in the bill.
The California model?
So let me ask a question.
Yeah,
So
there's
does
more questions.
The bill allow you to purchase property to make sure
No.
they're on a certain area only can see?
No, you can use property and set it up for an area for camping if you so choose to do. It's not telling us we have to. And although they did put a small portion of money, it's not going to be used for that.
All right.
And I'll give you an example. I think Pinellas County, I'll ask, has something, look at your chief of staff. Did they do that when you were there, the one next to the jail? The facilities that they have next to the jail in Pinellas County? Safety Harbor. So
yeah.
some of the people are saying that they were looking at expanding that area, some tents and everything outside for other folks instead of keeping them out of jail. And I was being told that this was a law that they were looking at putting some provisions. If you decide to do this, you're setting up these tents and you're trying to house folks. So some of these provisions would have to be there through DCF. So.
Okay, question.
Yes.
Because, and Kathy, I don't know if you want to ask these questions too, but somewhere, someone has the idea that if we've got someone living on the side of the sidewalk in Commissioner Bradford's district on Massachusetts. And not only that, yesterday when I was driving into my office, 100 yards past that gentleman who's got a village around him now, I saw a U-Haul rental van where a gentleman was unloading his stuff into the woods right next to some offices on State Road, on Massachusetts. And I don't know what you guys did about that, but I was on the phone, so I texted my staff to do something immediately, and they forwarded it to Bradford's staff, so I'm anxious to hear what they did. But
So the difference on that, Commissioner,
how do we, does the sheriff arrest someone if they're living on a sidewalk? And can we,
Nope. No.
what do
So,
we do? I mean,
again,
can we, or what do we do?
The difference between what you're saying, folks down the street and behind somebody's property and otherwise, this is where you are setting it up and saying, come here, or this is a space that you can allocate as a homeless. And if you're going to do that, and if communities are going to do that, these are the provisions. So the difference is, you're never going to stop overall homelessness. People buy a park, people buy, a forest. This is saying if communities are going to do this, they're going to set it up. These are the regulations that they feel that make it safe for them and for the community at large.
So what's challenging is if someone's trespassing, they're breaking a law. There's a law against trespassing, but all we do is make a move. And I was wondering, and if we put them in jail, that's a big expense to the taxpayer, and we don't have room. So is it possible, or maybe do we want to look at a law allowing this? And I don't mean for this to be inhumane, but if someone is repeatedly caught trespassing and they want to live outside, can they live outside on our jail property, not in the jail, in their tent on our property? And if we put a porta potty,
That's the idea
water,
behind if the county chooses to camp.
Certify
Yeah.
there's a whole host of DCF requirements.
But that is voluntary.
No, well, that is voluntary, but by doing
What
that.
do we do when they don't want to come out of the woods? That's the problem.
Is what you just mentioned. If somebody was arrested, when Pinellas is trying to do a diversion, they're building that camp next to the sheriff's office, and these are some of the provisions that you'd have to do by it. So in other words, they don't think that people should be in jail for some of these, but they also want to make sure they get the resources. So I think you all have to, that's a conversation, and tax dollars to talk about.
Commissioner, we're obviously, for the last budget, working on a number of items. The Pasco Hope project is we're trying to bring that into
But
fruition.
that's voluntary.
Correct, but it's also a low barrier shelter that
Yeah.
could absolutely, contribute as assistance to the program. Obviously, the board, we need to have the conversation on, what the next move would be if Pasco Hope is or isn't successful, or needs to be expanded and how we want to handle that. This is authorizing the tools. Now, Sean, there is a provision in here about litigation or?
Right, there is. So that the part that I think,
Yes,
we and other municipalities and counties are worried about is there is that provision that was put in there that businesses and residents could sue a local government if this law or if public camping occurs in public areas near businesses, could occur. And so I've had this discussion with our county attorney. They didn't put any enforcement in there and ways that we can address that. It's a catch-22, as he mentioned. But one thing that a possibility that we could do addressing with that issue is show what we can or have within our ordinances. I had a meeting with Kathy Pearson, our Assistant County Administrator, and Chase Daniels with the Sheriff's Office. I looked around at the state, at the counties and municipalities, and they have strong loitering ordinances. Ours is pretty simple. It kind of aligns with the state. With that, and what these local governments have done is they call out public camping and right-of-ways near businesses, on beaches. They give warnings to the individuals. They give documentation and what's provided in the county for homeless. If they are caught doing it again, they could be fined and serve time that is already covered in the loitering law. So that would be one suggestion, is to look at the ordinance and possibly beef it up so we have some language. But ultimately, and I've even had this discussion with Sean and Andrew, I think this is one, if that happens, we'll go to court and then possibly have the language or the bill tossed out or sent back to kind of put some enforcement in there and protection in there to the local government so they aren't sued. Because if you have signs up that say no loitering, you have an ordinance that says no loitering, and after hours there are people doing this, you don't have the manpower to go around and make sure that people are abiding by the law in public areas. So it's a concern, and I think, it's, like I said, it's we all local governments fear that concern.
Yeah, and I don't think our issue so much is on public land as it is they keep going on private land in our county.
Well, that's a
Mr.
total.
Mariano has a question.
Yeah, I think this conversation is something I want to talk about anyway, panhandling and camps, so I think under committee reports, we can get into this a lot more.
Yeah.
I don't want to tie these guys up for it, because we still got
Sure.
the parks thing to listen to quick.
Yeah, if I may,
I have a big
Commissioner.
lunch meeting, so.
Yeah, thank you. On May 14th is our workshop on affordable housing, so I think there's some
Yeah.
parallels here
Yeah, we can
with
put that
homelessness
together
that we
for
can
that.
discuss.
Yeah, we have.
And I'd love to hear what some other counties are doing.
Okay.
In the interest of time, quickly, last year we passed Senate Bill 170. Any ordinance that the county adopts must do a business impact statement. Any business stakeholder who doesn't like it, they can sue you over it. Last year, Land Development Code was specifically exempted from Senate Bill 170. Senate Bill 1628 adds the Land Development Code to that provision.
Okay.
So 328, we've got two provisions in here where we can have some conversations. One, I'm going to leave 773 at the end when it comes to the taxation bill. There were some changes in here. You'll see, as you know, very familiar with this bill, local government must reduce parking was one of the requirements. clarifies density. I know you guys, of any of the bills, you guys were very, very much involved in this. There were some clarifications on affordable units and qualifying development units. There was also some language that the Florida, I don't know if you all were aware of this, I finally changed. The Florida Housing Finance Corporation is really just, as we discovered, ministerial in handing it over. When the study's done by the developer, it's ministerially, goes through. They actually gave the right and the power to the property appraiser to maintain the ultimate authority to grant those exemptions. So where there was some clarification in that language. You also know about some of the other language we'll talk about when we get to 7073 about the amendment through the Schimberg study also.
So these are two building permit pieces of legislation. I put them together on one slide. They are related but not the same. Your bill on the left, Senate Bill 812, that, let me back up just a second. When Senate Bill 267 was filed, 267 relates to residential construction and permitting, also just generally permitting generally. 812 relates specifically to planned developments. When 267 was filed, it had some of 812 in it. The legislature separated them into two different bills. So Senate Bill 812 relates to any kind of tract home developer who's applying to develop many homes by October 1st of this year. The county will have to have a way that they can request up to 50% of their permits for a subdivision in a planned community. The local government will need to start maintaining a list of private vendors who are available when there's excessive development going on, lots of houses being built, private vendors who are available to function as a staff aug to get the permits and the plans reviews through the local government. Applicant can use a private provider to expedite the permit process. Generally, the developer can go ahead and contract for sale, but he can't actually close on the property until the final plat's approved. That's 812. 267 is building permits generally, residential, commercial. There's time frames that are now, there were already some time frames in statute. These are much shorter time frames. It used to be like 10 days if you receive an application to determine if it's complete or not. Now you have 5 days to determine if it's complete or not, and then so many days to either approve, deny, or approve with conditions or deny the permit. Those time frames are all shorter. Senate Bill 280, vacation rentals. I know we talked a lot about this during session with Ralph. Pre-2011 ordinances were already grandfathered in. Every other part of vacation rental regulations preempted to the state. This was their legislature's idea of providing, and may I quote, some tools to local governments. Allows for a registration fee, so not actually licensure at the local level, but at least a registration where the vacation rental will have to provide you with who's on call 24 hours, who owns, some requirements or some threshold to get your quote-unquote registration. The local government then can suspend the registration if the vacation rental has so many deficiencies and delinquencies. Go ahead.
So Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Can we do that even with the ordinance we have now? That doesn't preempt our grandfathered ordinance to have a
When was your
registration
ordinance
fee?
adopted?
Huh?
Oh, okay.
The ordinance is vested.
Say what, sir?
The ordinance that they have on the books is vested.
Pre-2016.
Right.
So
Yeah.
then you are fine with your current ordinance, but you're
No,
specifically
can
saying
we do this registration fee?
not licensure. So the bill allows for a local government to have a registration. That's probably a question for your county attorney, but I would think if it's registration, not licensure, any and all ordinances that were pre-2016 are fine anyways.
Well, that solves a lot of our problem.
So you can call your friends at county up on the northeast side of the state and thank them. DPBR will be in charge of they will be the regulator from now on, and there's a way that a local government now can contact DPBR and say, oh, we've had all these issues, can you suspend the license? But I can talk to you more detail about the bill if you have any further questions. 479, this is the transportation impact fee bill, mobility funding system. Long story short, they want local governments who overlap in a development to work together to calculate what the impact fees should be. The local government who is the one issuing the permit, the actual permit, will be the one to necessarily collect that impact fee, divvy it up back with the other local government who's working with them. You have to use certain data when you're developing the impact fees. It has to be data that was within past 4 years, and provide, again, proportionate distribution. It's really, I don't want to use the word forcing, but requiring local governments to work together so that people aren't charged multiple times for impact fees. I'm not sure where that happens, but that's what is said.
It happens in South Florida. But a question for you on this one.
Yes, ma'am.
Would this affect us, say, if there was a Pasco County development near the county line or the border of Pasco and the nearest grocery stores in Hernando County, could they take some of our impact fees since maybe their roads are impacted?
So I, off the top of my head, will not tell you yes from reading the bill, but I will tell you yes from a conversation that happened in a committee, and we'll have to review it.
That's my concern about this.
There was a specific example of Sarasota County and Manatee County working on a project. I can't remember the details, but that was discussed in a committee while this bill was being heard. So I will get back with you with, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. 7013 had to do with special districts, like the Mosquito Control District. It creates a 12-year term limit for elected board members. I would expect some more items to come out. There's thousands of, they found out of these special districts. One of the items that they didn't, it was pretty simple, they didn't have on their strategic goals and working on those in a few of the districts. They all went through an audit, and nothing crazy came out of any of the audits that they did for the districts around. But they're looking at seeing some of the capacity that these special districts had to increase millage rates on folks, and you could see some of the reductions that they made on that also.
PACE? We all know about PACE loans, bad actors in PACE loans. PACE loans are for various energy efficient items, energy items. They've expanded the PACE loan program to include water treatment as well. So you can, if you're getting some kind of specific on-site sewage treatment center, septic tank, you can use a PACE loan. And then they also put in some extra regulations and oversight, because a lot of these PACE loan folks, I guess from my understanding, can be potentially bad actors and predatory on homeowners. So that's what this bill does. No, go back. Cybersecurity. Jumping over it. Okay. Okay. Yes.
Surprise. So a little bit of information. Obviously, first I want to thank David Goldstein and your staff, your county administrator, and all of you all. Really, this was a very difficult session. I know Pasco County was very much targeted at times, but I think we did a very due diligent job representing not only our county and our constituents, but also many around the state. So one of the items that we'll talk about real quick is how do we allow a taxing authority to move forward. And we talked about the provision that we put in the Schimberg study. Just to go again, the Schimberg study is used to detail the surplus of deficit or surplus of affordable housing and rental units through a region. So there was even some discussions about regions and how they come to that number. Some of those areas aren't able to get those regions. So I would say, first I want to say the President's office really had an open door with us. Our legislative delegation was very, very helpful on this. It's going to provide some of the information beyond the Schimberg real quick, just to let you know those who still, when you find out you have a surplus in 2025, 2026, those who already received it are obviously grandfathered in. The taxing authority, the county, upon adoption of the ordinance or resolution, is going to have to be approved by 2/3 of the vote of the governing body when they can show through the Schimberg study that the need is being met. I think that is in the simplest terms that we can put it out there. It was very taxing. I know a lot of us, there's conversations and things in the newspapers from the Senate President, but I would say we kept to it. I had many times we were running into the office to go talk to Jennifer, as you all know very much, and many times that your county administrator and I were on the phone quickly and talking about this amendment. I want to thank, first of all, the Senate President's office. They had even major pushback in those final hours and the final day of saying, they weren't happy with us. Developers and lobbyists who represented these developers were pushing back for more severe changes because they knew that it would push the need to not be there as much. When I say that, I think we're very fortunate now from getting to look at it, and I was told if we weren't happy with 100% of what was in that bill, that they would come back and help us change it or make sure that we got the information from the Schimberg study that we needed. So right now, we felt we weren't getting everything that we needed from it, but they promised to work with us, meaning the President's office, and the funding comes from the legislature to the Schimberg study, to do the Schimberg study. So I'm pretty confident that they're going to be able to work with us. I know this was a sensitive subject, but I really think for the best for the county, we came out. This resolution came in there, and I want to thank you all again.
thank you all very, very much for coming to Tallahassee, talking to your legislative delegation, talking to everybody that you could to help get this across. Commissioner Waitman, I know you were waving the flag on this, a long, long time ago. We saw this coming. And I think there's going to be both benefits. One, I think you're going to see affordable housing is going to be increased in the areas where there's a need. And where's the need? The need is truly under that 80%, right? We don't have a need between 80% and 120 AMI. The 90% meets what's already happening with rents. And all of a sudden, when you had this picture, when you showed them what an 80% AMI was with your delegation, not in the president's office, but other legislators, the light went on all of a sudden of what nonprofits are truly trying to do for AMIs, below 80% for folks. So thank you all again. I'll take any of the questions that you have on that. I think that was really our last slide. I know we took a little bit of the side. Last thing, sovereign immunity, repeal local business taxes under Chapter 2005 did not pass. The tourism development tax changes did not pass, as you all know, and county commission term limits. So those are some items that we'll be following up with you over the summer, kind of give you an idea, just like we did with Senator Ben Albritton, on his emphasis being on how they do water projects in the future. And I see a finger pointing this way.
Mr.
Yes,
Mariano has some questions.
Yeah, I'd say this was, in my years, the most difficult situation to go through with the state legislature of all the things we had to go through, by far. The results could have been devastating. Commissioner Waitman, your early leadership in picking on about shaking every single development coming in. If we had provisions, Jeff, you and David together, making sure that we had the right provisions going. Denisha, you as well, helping everything go through. But the work up there, Sean, was amazing on your end. You and Andrew were like incredible to work with, teaming up with Ralph, working with Carbella, probably back and forth in the phone, just trying to look at all the things. David being a leader in the state as far as the go-to guy to find out what's really going on. But the meetings you gave to us, the communications you kept going even after the session started and we're back here, for you to keep on pushing and pushing and pushing, it got better and better and better. And without you and Andrew up there fighting for us so hard and doing so effectively, it wouldn't have happened. So thank you for your great service.
Well, I appreciate it. Like I said, it was a very difficult time, I know, for everybody, and I appreciate you all's communication and willingness to work with us. It kind of made that job a little bit easier up there. We have the benefit, we don't represent any developers, any builders, there's no conflict of interest with ours. We have one focus in mind, and that's serving your interests.
Very well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know we're out of time today. We have a big lunch meeting, but, and we have a little more time before we have to have our ducks in a row for the next session, but certainly want to take a look at appropriations around the state and see how we fared and see if we're, on the right track for the plans that we have. I mean, I know this is out there, but do you have any idea when it's going to get signed?
So I was told two different scenarios. One I was told in the next 2 weeks, and the next one I was told at the end of June. So I will tell you, when the one I was told it was just in 2 weeks hasn't happened yet. So that one, yeah, and it came from the governor's office to expect everything to be signed in the next 2 weeks. He was actually even holding off on some appointments, and the governor's holding off on appointments and endorsements on folks until the budget got passed. So I hope sooner than what we have seen in the past.
Okay.
So that's a big one. He just said we did send him the retirement bill, which is a pretty big bill on the budget. So that could give us some indication when we see it come through. So.
And so when is the deadline to sign the bill? If there's
well, a couple of years ago, if you recall, he did it the day before your fiscal year started.
Is that July? July 14th or something?
July 1st. Right.
July 1st?
It was
July 1st when it started.
It was June 30th, and you had July 1st. He literally did it 2 days before. And that's the only time I've ever seen that happen in my recollection, and I know you're taking a deep breath right now.
There was other money that is going to Pasco through our nonprofits.
Yes.
I know I encouraged, I encouraged nonprofits and the cities to please ask for money. So there is more money coming to the county, may not be through us.
So I was just going to say, we just set up a time when we're looking at doing our workshop for our next legislative session, and we'll probably toss around some ideas. I'll get with Sean, and maybe we can even have our delegation interact with us on that. I mean, it is an election year. All of our state reps have to go up for election. But it's something we'll consider. But no, we'll be having a workshop, and we'll be planning it way in advance for next year's session.
Okay, great.
Yeah. All right?
All right. All right. Thank you.
We got a break for lunch.
So we're going to break for lunch. We're going to recess for lunch. We'll be back here at 1:30 to carry on with public comments, public hearings.
Storm drains are meant for clean rainwater. Most other discharges are illegal. If you suspect an illicit discharge,